Researchers in Sweden have discovered that large amounts of methane, a powerful greenhouse gas that is leaking from unusual depths of the Baltic Sea seabed.
Our world is full of surprises, from a wild red creature found on a beach to scientists discovering a mysterious legless Sicilian. Adding to the intrigue, huge gatherings of humpback whales have been spotted off South Africa's coast unexpectedly. Now making headlines globally, 3,500-year-old artifact has emerged from the river Tigris. What's behind the presence of these unusual creatures? Join us as we investigate why the sea might soon become a restricted area. Ebay's Landing, a seven-armed surprise. In 2020, when a man named Ron Newberry was walking along a beach called Ebay's Landing and stumbled upon what looked like a bizarre red blob. This strange object resembled an octopus, but scientists initially were puzzled about what exactly it was. After much discussion and study, experts concluded that this unusual blob was a rare type of seven-armed octopus, which is normally found in much deeper and colder waters off the coast of British Columbia in the Atlantic Ocean. The discovery of such a creature on algae-covered rocks far from its usual habitat was quite shocking. Our knowledge of these deep-sea creatures is quite limited because they live in parts of the ocean that are difficult to reach and study. We know a little about their reproduction. These octopuses have an extra arm hidden near their eye used for mating. The females are generally larger than the males and have all 8 arms visible. Another bizarre discovery is the Sicilian, a creature that looks like a worm but is actually quite different. Known as the ringed Sicilian, this creature is a puzzle because, unlike typical amphibians that have 4 legs and a backbone, Sicilians have no legs at all and resemble long, slimy worms. This particular type of Sicilian is even more unusual because it does something very rare in the animal kingdom. It produces a milk-like substance to feed its young. This is surprising because it's not a mammal, but an amphibian. The milk comes from the female's body and is packed with fats that are crucial for the young Sicilian's growth. The care these Sicilian mothers provide goes beyond producing milk. In a rather shocking twist, the baby Sicilians actually eat their mother's skin, which provides them with extra nutrients they need to grow. This might sound unsettling, but it's an incredible example of how nature can work in mysterious and sometimes eerie ways. Every time we find creatures like these, it challenges what we think we know about the natural world. Each new discovery makes us realize how much we don't know and how much there is still to learn about the hidden parts of our planet. These strange creatures not only add to our scientific knowledge, but also remind us of the vast mysteries that remain unsolved. They show us that there are many more secrets waiting to be uncovered in the depths of the oceans and the far corners of the earth. As we continue to explore and understand these oddities, we are constantly reminded of the unbelievable diversity and complexity of life on Earth. These discoveries prompt us to keep questioning and exploring, pushing the boundaries of our understanding in exciting new directions. Recently, scientists have discovered something unusual about humpback whales. They've started forming what are called supergroups. This behavior is odd because these whales are usually seen alone or in small groups that consist mainly of family members. However, off the coast of South Africa, these whales have been spotted in much larger groups of 20 to 200. Normally, they just pass through this area during their migration, but now they are gathering in huge numbers. Scientists are buzzing with excitement over these large groups, suggesting that the whales may have changed their behavior due to more food being available, like krill and small fish. They think that by coming together in large numbers, the whales can better take advantage of these food sources. On another front, researchers exploring an old uranium mine in Germany have made a fascinating discovery, an ecosystem of what they call alien microorganisms. These microorganisms are completely new to science, living in a place filled with radioactive material, without sunlight, and full of heavy metals and acids. The term alien makes these organisms sound like they're from another planet, but they're just very different from any life forms we've known before. The researchers are excited because these organisms are not just surviving, but thriving in a place that would be deadly for most other forms of life. This has led some to speculate that if life can exist under such extreme conditions here on Earth, it might also exist in harsh environments elsewhere in the universe. In the Baltic Sea, another interesting phenomenon has caught scientists' attention: a large methane leak at the deepest point of the sea. Methane is a powerful gas that can affect the climate, and its presence in large amounts could point to significant changes happening on the seafloor. This discovery could be important for understanding more about our environment and how it's changing. These stories, from whale supergroups to alien microbes and underwater methane leaks, show how nature continues to surprise us and adapt in unexpected ways. They also reflect our fascination with the unusual and our eagerness to interpret these phenomena as signs of broader environmental changes. While the discoveries are intriguing, they also remind us how much we still have to learn about the natural world and how it operates. In 2023, deep in the Baltic Sea, a team of researchers uncovered a massive methane leak. This wasn't a small issue. The leak was so large that it stretched over 7.7 square miles. Methane gas bubbled up close to the sea's dark surface from 1,300 feet below. Discovered during a routine deep-sea exploration, this phenomenon was both fascinating and alarming. Although scientists quickly took measures to study and address the leak, figuring out how to prevent such events in the future remains a daunting task. Let's travel from the ocean's secrets buried by time around the world. The mysterious legacy of an ancient child and 142 dogs. In another corner of the world, archaeologists found an ancient burial site with an unusual grouping, the remains of a single child and 142 dogs. This discovery, buried deep in time, has sparked a myriad of questions and theories. What was the relationship between the child and the dogs? The careful arrangement of the burial suggests this wasn't just a random event. Were the dogs seen as protectors of the child in the afterlife? Or was there a special ritual that honored such a bond? Or perhaps, was it a communal tragedy that led to their joint burial? Meanwhile, in New Brunswick, Canada, scientists made an extraordinary find, a 350-million-year-old tree fossil that looked more alien than anything terrestrial. Named Sanforia-Collis densifolia, this tree was unlike modern trees, with a trunk up to 18 feet wide and a sparse crown of leaves. Its discovery was almost miraculous, preserved perfectly by an ancient earthquake that caused a riverbank to collapse and bury the tree in mud. This ancient relic provides a rare window into the Earth's distant past, but it also confuses scientists with its strange and otherworldly appearance. And from the depths of history, the oldest known lipstick was found in Iran, dating back to around 3,600 years ago during the Bronze Age. This wasn't just any old lipstick. It was made from a mixture of animal fat and ochre, indicating that even ancient civilizations had a keen sense for beauty and personal adornment. This ancient cosmetic, found with what seemed to be a small mirror, suggests that our ancestors were not only resourceful, but also had an aesthetic sense similar to today's standards. These discoveries, from the depths of the sea to the mysteries of ancient burials and the unexpected sophistication of early cosmetic practices, each add layers to our understanding of the world. They challenge our simplistic views of the past and compel us to consider the complexities that our ancestors navigated. As we delve into these mysteries, we find ourselves constantly reminded of the vast tapestries of life that have woven their way through time, leaving fragments for us to piece together. Each fragment, whether a massive methane leak, an unusual burial, or ancient cosmetics, not only broadens our view of history, but also deepens the mysteries that beckon us to keep exploring. Imagine a dog named Chicho living in General Roca, Argentina. This Labrador retriever became a local wonder because he spent 3 whole days staring at a plain blue wall at a bus station. No one could figure out why. He just stood there, sometimes wagging his tail, but mostly just staring at this wall. People started guessing why he might be doing this. Was there a ghost, a bug, some kind of energy only he could sense? Despite all the guesses and several checkups by veterinarians, no one found an answer. As more people heard about Chicho's strange behavior, his story spread far and wide, attracting lots of attention. This newfound fame worried his owner, who feared for Chicho's safety amidst the growing public interest. Reluctantly, the decision was made to keep Chicho indoors, away from the prying eyes and cameras of his newfound fans. This meant no more visits to the blue wall. But why was Chicho so interested in that wall? It could be because dogs see the world differently than we do. They don't see all the colors we can. They mainly see blues and yellows. This means a blue wall might appear more striking to Chicho than it would to us, possibly explaining his fascination. Perhaps there was something specific about that spot, or maybe Chicho found comfort in the wall's simplicity. Or it could have been something about the location, maybe the sounds or smells that were particularly appealing to him. We often forget that dogs experience the world not just through sight, but through their strong senses of smell and hearing as well. Chicho's story makes us think about how much we still don't understand about what animals perceive or think. It's easy to get caught up in trying to explain unusual behaviors with fantastical theories, but sometimes they might just be reacting to their environment in ways we can't easily understand. Chicho's interest in the blue wall also tells us something about ourselves. We are quick to be fascinated by unusual behaviors, especially when animals display them. We make headlines out of them and create stories, sometimes even projecting our human feelings and thoughts onto these animals. In the end, the real reasons behind Chicho's actions may be simpler or more mundane than we imagine, but our human nature drives us to seek a story. While we may never know why Chicho was drawn to that wall, his story invites us to be more mindful of the simple and mysterious ways in which animals interact with their surroundings. It challenges us to consider how much goes on in their minds that we might not be aware of or understand. And it reminds us to be thoughtful about how we react to and share these stories, respecting the privacy and well-being of animals like Chicho, who become unwitting celebrities. Jellyfish fossils are incredibly rare, and when they're found, it's a big deal for scientists. These sea creatures usually don't leave much behind when they die because their bodies are mostly soft and gelatinous. So when a fossil is discovered, it offers a rare peek into the ancient world of the oceans. From an odd dog's behavior to a village's unique trait, mysteries grow wherever we look. Mysteries of Yanggi, the village of dwarfs. Yanggi, a secluded village in China's Sichuan province, is an intriguing place on land. This village stands out not for its scenery, but because many of its residents have dwarfism, a condition that results in a shorter than average height. Historically, it's been said that nearly half the village's population were dwarfs, with an average height of about 3 feet. Although there are fewer people with dwarfism there now, the village's past continues to draw scientists and tourists alike, who are eager to learn more about this genetic curiosity. Researchers have guessed at a few possible causes. Maybe there's something harmful in the environment, like mercury, or perhaps it's something the villagers are eating. Another theory suggests that the villagers' isolation led to limited genetic variety, amplifying certain genetic traits like dwarfism. Despite many studies, no one has figured out the definitive cause. As Yanggi became more well-known, it also became a tourist attraction. This new attention has helped the village economically, as visitors bring money into the community. However, this has also made privacy a concern for the villagers, who now find themselves the subject of constant attention and photography. Far away from Yanggi, in the cold, icy stretches of Antarctica, another discovery has captured the imagination of people around the world. Some photographs from this remote region show what looks like a pyramid buried under the ice. Named the Pyramid of Antarctica, this mountain resembles the famous pyramids in Egypt. The photos have sparked many wild theories, including ideas about ancient civilizations living in Antarctica long before it was covered with ice. The so-called pyramid is most likely simply a naturally occurring mountain shaped by the harsh Antarctic environment. But the romantic idea of an ancient, hidden civilization is more exciting to many people than geological processes. These theories, while far-fetched, show how much people love mysteries and enjoy speculating about the unknown. In the village of Yanggi and the icy lands of Antarctica, what's known is often less captivating than what's speculated. People are drawn to the mysteries and the stories that have yet to be confirmed. This curiosity keeps both places in the public eye, blending the lines between science and folklore, between what's real and what could possibly be. When we look back at history, it's easy to get carried away with stories about giant creatures and ancient civilizations. For instance, let's consider the supposed Parasitus, claimed to be the largest creature ever, bigger than today's blue whale. Found in the rocks of Peru, its bones suggest it was a massive creature, over 100 feet long. Scientists think it might have been the heaviest animal ever. But is this true, or are we letting our imaginations run wild? Some experts think we might be exaggerating based on the bones we've found. This creature's story is part of a larger pattern. We often jump at the chance to believe in extraordinary tales because they make the past seem more interesting. However, this can lead us to misinterpret what we actually know. The idea of giant creatures like the Parasituses challenges our imagination and our understanding of what is biologically possible. The debate over its real size and existence highlights the risk of letting excitement overshadow solid science. Then there's the legends of the ancient lines in Malta, known as the cart ruts. These are long, parallel grooves cut into the rock, and no one is really sure why they're there. They're deep and sometimes end abruptly at cliffs or the sea. Some people think these lines are thousands of years old, from as far back as the Bronze Age. They could have been used for ceremonies or maybe for moving stuff around, connected to Malta's old temples. Despite lots of study, including some pretty advanced scientific techniques, these lines remain a puzzle. The neat, uniform looks of the ruts might suggest a common purpose, but that might be misleading. Did carts wear these just tracks down over time? Or is there a bigger story we're missing? It's tempting to see these as part of some organized system, like an old railway. But maybe we're just trying too hard to make sense of them. This tendency to embellish the past shows up in other ways too. Take the recent discovery in England of what was celebrated as the largest gold nugget ever found there. It caught everyone's attention and sparked a lot of excitement. But here again, we see our fascination with the biggest and the best, even when such finds are probably not as rare or unique as they first seem. In all these stories, whether it's a huge ancient animal, mysterious old tracks, or a big piece of gold, the way we look at history often says more about us than about the past itself. We love a good story, especially one that sounds extraordinary or record-breaking, but it's important to remember that history is complex. We should be careful not to twist it with our modern love for big headlines. The past is full of ordinary and mysterious events, and each has its place in the story of human history. It's crucial to look at these tales with a critical eye and respect the facts as much as we cherish the mysteries. Picture this scene. Richard Brock, an amateur treasure hunter in England, goes out with an old and broken metal detector into the Shropshire Hills. Despite these odds, he finds what may be the biggest gold nugget ever found in the UK. This nugget is quite heavy at 64.8 grams and could be worth between £30,000 and £40,000. Brock was late to his treasure hunting spot and had only been searching for about 5 minutes when he found the nugget. His surprising discovery has caused quite a stir among those who enjoy searching for hidden treasures. Now, imagine a completely different and darker scenario. What if one day you woke up and instead of seeing your loved ones' faces, you saw terrifying demonic faces? This isn't a scene from a scary movie, but a reality for some people suffering from a condition known as prosopagnosia. This rare disorder causes people to see faces distorted, making even familiar ones look frightening and monstrous. This happens because of a problem in a part of the brain called the fusiform gyrus, which is important for recognizing faces. The distorted images aren't imaginary, they are real perceptions for the sufferers. Consider the life of Victor Shera, a 59-year-old truck driver who suddenly saw everyone around him as if they were demons. This sudden change was not only scary, but could potentially ruin his ability to work, where clear vision is essential. As we explore deeper, every discovery links the past to our lives today. The lost underground castle. In France, under a hotel that dates back to the 18th century, archaeologists found an unexpected treasure, a complete 14th century castle with a moat. This wasn't just an ordinary find, it was like stepping back into the times of knights and nobles, where castles scattered across Europe were the norm. During their dig in the spring of 2023, the archaeologists didn't just uncover a castle structure, but also found everyday items from the past like jewelry, cooking pots, and old padlocks. Each of these items offers a glimpse into people's daily lives centuries ago. This castle is thought to be the Château d'Un, which was once the home and fortress of John IV, Duke of Brittany, around the year 1381. Back then, from the 10th century all the way to the 16th century, Brittany was like its own little kingdom, with its own lords and ladies. Much like the settings we imagine when we think of medieval times. John IV made his castle stand out in 1365 during his rule. But as time passed, especially after his grandson Francis II decided to move the capital elsewhere, the castle was neglected and forgotten. It fell apart, becoming a shadow of its former glory. Later on, people tried to fix it up, but in doing so, they changed it so much that it lost its original medieval charm. It's only recently that we've rediscovered this impressive structure, buried under years of changes. Moving on to another intriguing find, let's talk about a simple thimble. These days, we might not think much of thimbles. They're just small tools that protect our fingers when we sew. However, a particular thimble found by someone using a metal detector in Pembrokeshire turned out to be quite special. At first glance, it looked like a tiny, unimportant piece of metal, similar in size to a small coin. But upon closer inspection, it revealed something unexpected. This wasn't just any thimble. It was engraved with a romantic message, suggesting that it was once a token of affection, perhaps given as a gift long ago. This thimble was found in 2020 under the shade of an old oak tree in the small community of Quom in Pembrokeshire. The fact that something so ordinary could carry such a unique and personal history makes it very special. Now, this little piece of the past is kept at the National Museum, Cardiff, where it serves as a reminder of the personal stories and emotional connections that can be found in the most common of objects. This discovery shows us that even the simplest items can have rich histories and can connect us to the personal lives of people from long ago. It also highlights how finding such items can be unexpected and thrilling, bringing history to life in tangible and relatable ways. The thimble in question, dating back to between 1682 and 1740, stands out not just as a tool for sewing, but as a robust piece from its time. Unlike the lighter, more disposable thimbles made today, this one was built to last. It was unusually tall and narrow, with a strong, rounded top expertly joined to its main body. The intricate designs carved into it show the high level of craftsmanship of its maker. But the real charm of this thimble is in its inscription, "Still in love ever." While these words might seem simply sweet, they reflect a common practice from its time, where such romantic lines were engraved on personal items, much like love notes etched onto rings. Adding love notes to everyday objects like thimbles was quite popular in 17th century England and Wales. It suggests that people back then liked to keep reminders of love in their daily lives, not just on special occasions or on fancy jewelry. Today, the idea of putting such messages on practical items might seem old-fashioned or even unnecessary. In our digital age, where expressions of love are often brief and quickly forgotten, the concept of permanently inscribing affection on something as mundane as a thimble might come across as a charming but impractical nod to a bygone era of romance. Now let's shift to a completely different story about a man from Tennessee. He suddenly found out that he might be the last descendant of the Beothuk people, an indigenous group from Newfoundland, Canada. The Beothuk were known for their unique use of red ochre to color their bodies and tools, earning them the nickname Red Indians from early European settlers. They lived off the land, hunting and gathering from the rich natural resources around them. However, discovering one's connection to a tribe thought to be extinct can bring mixed feelings. On one hand, it connects a person to a forgotten history, but on the other, it drags them into a complicated past filled with colonial oppression and the wiping out of entire cultures. This revelation about his ancestry could make the man consider the implications of such a discovery. Is it really about rediscovering one's roots, or is it more about making a sensational story for the media? There's a risk that this piece of personal history could be turned into a spectacle, with more focus on the novelty of being the last rather than respecting the deep cultural significance and the tragic history of the Beothuk people. Every story and find brings us closer to the heart of human history: DNA, ancient artifacts, and our continued quest for identity. In the 16th century, European fishermen and settlers started arriving, changing the lives of the Beothuk people forever. These newcomers brought conflict and disease and took over resources, forcing the Beothuk from their coastal homes to the harsh interiors of Newfoundland. This move wasn't just a change of location. It marked the beginning of the end for the Beothuk culture and their way of life, pushing them to the brink of survival. One of the last known Beothuk was Shauna Dedit, believed to be the last person fully of Beothuk descent, born around the start of the 1800s. By 1823, she and her family were found starving, a clear sign of how hard their lives had become. They were taken in by a settler, but soon after, most of her family succumbed to tuberculosis. Only Shauna survived a bit longer, helping an anthropologist named William Cormack by sharing her people's culture through her drawings and stories. When Shauna died in 1829, it seemed like the Beothuk culture died with her. However, in 2020, a surprising discovery was made. A scientist named Stephen Carr found that a man in Tennessee had DNA that matched Shauna Dedit's. This suggested that the Beothuk lineage might still exist. This news was a shock and brought new interest in the Beothuk people's history. Around the same time, another discovery caught people's attention. In the river Tigris, which flows from the mountains through deserts into the Persian Gulf, a very old and strange object was found. Estimated to be about 3,500 years old, this object looked like it might be from a long-lost civilization. It looked a bit human, but not quite, which made people wonder if it was real, a fake, or something entirely unknown. In another part of the world, in Poland, scientists found the remains of a Neanderthal child that seemed to tell a sad story from 15,000 years ago. The bones had marks that showed they had been inside a giant bird's digestive system. This finding suggests that the Neanderthal child might not have been hunted by the bird, but was scavenged after death. This highlights the harsh realities of ancient life, where survival was a daily challenge, and even young children were not safe from nature's harsh rules. When we look at the new archaeological finds, it sometimes feels like we're just hearing the same old stories dressed up in new facts. For example, researchers found some very old wooden structures in Zambia, claiming these show that early humans knew how to use materials cleverly. But really, this might just show that early humans were trying to get by, not that they were geniuses. And when it comes to stone tools, there's always news about how old they are and where they were found. Recently, tools were discovered in Kenya that were even older and further spread than we thought. While this is often talked about as a big deal, showing how clever early humans were, it could just as easily be seen as just another day in the life of ancient humans using what they had to survive. Then there's the art. We used to think only modern humans made art, but now we're finding out that Neanderthals and maybe even older humans like Homo erectus might have made simple art too. These findings are exciting, but sometimes it feels like scientists are too quick to see a few scratches as a sign of deep thinking. Maybe because we like to think our ancestors were just like us. Also, there's the use of old jewelry and decorations, which some say tell us about how ancient societies were organized or where people traveled. In Brazil, for example, they found ornaments made from giant sloth bones and say this proves humans lived there at the same time as these animals. But this could be jumping to conclusions, making big stories from a few small pieces. Overall, these discoveries do help us connect with our past, but the stories we make up about them can be a bit too much. We like to think of these ancient people as smart and creative, but maybe they were just trying to live their lives as best they could. Every new discovery gets turned into a tale of great achievements, but maybe we're just putting our own ideas onto these old bones and stones, trying to make them tell us more than they really can. So we have to wonder if we're really learning about the past, or if we're just making it fit what we want to believe. What do you think? Are we truly uncovering our history, or just crafting stories to satisfy our curiosity? Like, comment, and subscribe to explore more intriguing mysteries with us.